Yo, what's good, everybody, and thank you for tuning in to another Tyler Perry Sistas review. If this is your first time coming to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning family member, then you already know what it is and what it always will be. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe. Tell somebody to tell somebody if you choose to, but if not, just sit back, relax while we get into this thing. I was trying to decide if it's messy. I don't know yet. Y'all could be the judge. But looking at the thumbnail, you already know who we will be discussing in this video, and it is Andi. Now, Andi is someone who I definitely come for, okay? I definitely come for Andi, mainly because she deserves it. Point blank, period. She deserves it. However, Andi is dealing with a lot of trauma. Outside of the character of Karen, I'm going to say that Andi is number two. Andi has been dealing with so much drama and trauma since the beginning of Sistas. Now, I will say about 98.9% of the time, it's the heifer's fault. It's the heifer's fault. She puts it on herself. It's just what it is. Now, in the words of Madea, I got a little sympathization for Andi, okay? I got a little sympathization. The things I don't have sympathy for Andi for is that when the show initially came on, we were made aware that Andi was dealing with a married man. She was having a whole affair with Gary. And not only that, Andi knew from the very beginning that Gary was married. He kept putting on his facade that he was unhappy with his marriage, and the only thing that was keeping him home was the fact that he has an autistic son who can't deal with, any major changes in his life. Gary is an asshole, and he is a even greater of a liar. However, this past episode of Sistas, we are beginning to hear inner thoughts. We heard the inner thoughts of Karen, and we also heard the inner thoughts of Andi. Andi is at work. She's doing what she does, and she is having a full-blown panic attack. And we are hearing things play in Andi's mind. Things going back all the way to season 1 and season 2, her having certain interactions with Jasmine. Jasmine blaming her for the dissolvement of her marriage. Jasmine blaming her for ruining her home, the lives of her children. All these things Jasmine is blaming Andi for. And as I began to think about that, I said, wow, Andi has really been through a lot when it comes to the character of Gary. However, a lot of these things, as I stated earlier, Andi brought it upon herself. And now she's in a space where everything that Andi has pushed under the rug, everything that Andi has decided to ignore or dismiss is now rearing its head. And there are certain things that you just cannot escape from. A lot of times, yes, it could be out of sight, out of mind. I'm not thinking about it. But push come to shove, lo and behold, the more and more you bury stuff, the more that you give it an opportunity to settle, to cause other disruptions in your life. And that's where we see Andi. And the fact that she's having these episodes at work, Andi may need to take some space. At the end of last season, Andi was kidnapped by Jasmine. She was brought to an undisclosed location. She had her mouth tied. She had a blindfold on. She didn't know where she was. Andi was spooked when she realized that it was Jasmine who had done this to her, because the last we heard of Jasmine was locked up. And she was locked up for breaking into Andi's house and shooting Gary with those rubber. We ain't even finna go there because they pissed me off with that. But anyway, for attempting to shoot Gary with this gun and pointing this gun at Andi. She's been in prison ever since. So we never even knew the heifer got out. I was happy to see Jasmine, but they ain't have to take my girl out like that. So in addition to Andi being kidnapped, in addition to her having guns pointed at her, she witnessed another woman's life getting taken in front of her. And then it's like business as usual, because they go to the police department. That is not shown. It is inferred. And then she comes back home, and then they get the call from Fatima about her and Zach needing to get to the hospital because Karen was going through what she was going through. So it has been one trauma experience after another for Andi. I would really love to see Andi get therapy. However, I don't know if the writers are going in that direction, because Andi has been through a lot. She's had to deal with Gary almost taking her life. She's had to deal with multiple guns being pointed at her. She has had to deal with being slapped by Penelope. She has had to deal with, all the way going back to season 1, being attacked and also being disrespected by Morris. It was just a lot that has happened to Andi within the duration of Sistas, and now she can't escape from it. She can't run from it. And I wonder how it's going to play as she begins to move forward with this lawsuit against the physician who was caring for Karen. And it makes me wonder if Andi is going to be able to give this her all, because she's going through her own personal traumatic experiences. She's living through the trauma that she has endured. And I just wonder how it's going to affect her being able to have a steady mind when it comes to this lawsuit that could change everyone's life. And even though I am happy that we are getting a glimpse of what is troubling Andi, I do believe that as a whole, that this show has done a disservice when it comes to the trauma of Black women. When it comes to the trauma of each and every woman has experienced something traumatic. However, it is not taken seriously. Even in I believe it was season 1, Karen dealt with someone unaliving themselves in front of her. And then she just went on about life as if that didn't happen. Andi has had someone take, not her life when she didn't take her life, but Andi experienced someone whose life was taken in front of her, and she just going about her life as usual. Danny was physically assaulted. She was spat upon. She almost, took this man out by driving her car into his, and she just went on with life as usual. Sabrina saw her best friend Maurice out on the pasture in the bushes after he was physically assaulted by Alonzo. And she just went on about life as usual. They do not do a great job at allowing these women to process their trauma and get the necessary help that is needed. The only person that we have seen experience going to therapy is Danny. And I have so many thoughts about that, because I think they even played in our faces with that particular storyline. It could have been so much better. Danny really didn't take it seriously. However, baby, put Andi on somebody's couch. The girl has been through hell and back, and she need to talk to somebody. Next thing you know, we're going to see Andi with one of them white coats on, hugging herself. That's the next step, because it's a lot. It's a lot, and I just don't think that this show does a great job with allowing space for these women to truly deal with their trauma. And now, because she hasn't dealt with anything, it's beginning to spill out. And I do believe it's going to affect her work. I do believe it's going to be situations that maybe cause her to act out differently, or act out in ways that she wouldn't normally do, because she does not know what to do with everything that's going on in her mind. And she's probably not going to seek to get the adequate help that she needs to deal with what she's dealing with. But that's just sisters. They never deal with what they need to deal with. But Andi, girl, I'm going to still come for you, but I'm going to be praying for your sister, because, baby, you need it. But I want to thank you guys for listening. Until next time, I will holler at y'all later, and y'all be safe out there.